Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Glad to see everybody here today. At this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Combs.
Here.
Master Barger.
Here.
Master Tudor.
Here.
Master Buckin.
Present.
Judge Taylor.
Here. At this time, I'd like to invite my pastor, Bill Ford, up to lead us in a word of prayer. Appreciate you being here today.
It's my honor, absolutely. Would you pray with me? Father, we pause this morning to be thankful for two events, particularly. We thank you for Christmas. We thank you for the birth of the Savior, but along with that, we thank you for what that inspires in so many people to help and to encourage and to give their time, to give food, to give clothing. And our prayer also, O God, is that for those that they help, who perhaps didn't have the best of years, that it would provide for them encouragement and blessing and incentive. God, we also thank you that we're transitioning into a new year, to be able to take something like a calendar transition and to make it a period of reflection. And we recognize in all of our lives that there are some things that need to be strengthened and some things that need to be omitted. And we pray that we would take the time and make the effort to do what you would have us to do. God, I thank you for those that are before us today, those that have been elected by the people. We thank you for their servants' hearts. We pray that you would give them guidance and strength and peace in the task that they have taken on. And God, finally, we are grateful to be a part of this community. And we pray that today and forevermore, that you would give us a stronger bond and a better future. What a blessing it is in this journey. It's in your name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Sheriff, if you will, lead us in the pledge.
Would please stand and place their flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Thanks, Sheriff. Next, guys, y'all have had a chance to look over the minutes from the previous meeting. At this time, I need a motion and a second to approve those.
Motion to approve the minutes. Second.
If there's no discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Tudor.
Yes.
Master Buckin.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next, our treasurer's report. Glenna, good morning.
Good morning. You should have the treasurer's report in your Dropbox. This is through November 30th, 2017. Our total cash fund balance is $6,341,940.89. As of November 30th, our general fund revenues are at 56.6%, and our expenditures are at 32%. Our road fund revenues are at 54.5%, and our expenditures are at 26.6%. Our jail fund revenues are at 48%, and our expenditures are at 43.1%. CSEP revenues are at 9.3%, and our expenditures are at 8.3%. 911 fund, our revenues are at 68.6%, and our expenditures are at 30.7%. So we're doing very well.
Yep, good.
Everything looks good. Is there any questions?
Guys, you have any questions?
Right on target, looks like.
Yep, it's good. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. First order of business today is a lease agreement between the Kentucky Real Estate Appraisers Board. We've had discussion on this in previous meetings. The Kentucky Real Estate Appraisers were moving out and actually going to relocate in a different county, but working with them, we decided to actually rent space to them, and they decided to stay in Madison County, and they will be leasing space from the county down at 321 North Madison Avenue. The effective date, they made it December the 1st. There will be a decrease in square footage from 1,274 square feet. They'll be going from 3,207 square feet over to annex to 1,933 square feet down at the planning building, codes office. They'll have a decrease in the number of parking spaces. We've been able to increase the rent by 90 cents. They were paying $14 per square foot at the annex. They'll be paying $14.90 down down at the new facility there for them on Madison Avenue. Their total yearly rate of rent will go from $44,898, which is what they were paying, to $28,028.52. This is good through June 30th of 2021. So I need a motion and a second to allow me to sign this lease agreement between the Madison County Fiscal Court and the Kentucky Real Estate Appraisers Board.
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion?
Who's moving out down there?
Well, we'll talk about that. We got it on the agenda today. We have an office move presentation about doing some consolidation of our county offices, which frees that space up.
Which office space is it that you're talking about?
What do you mean?
Where they're gonna go? Will it be the whole building, or will it be
Yeah, the whole building.
all the offices down
Mm-hmm.
there? And generate how much
Generate how much?
revenue? How much will they be paying?
90 cents a foot more than what
They're-
they're paying now.
Yeah, they're paying $14.90. They're going to be paying $14.90 down there. They were paying $14 at the annex.
$28,028.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, working with them, we were able to keep them here. So we're actually getting more rent per square foot out of them than what we were getting in the annex. But they're taking less space. They're decreasing their square footage by 1,274 square feet. They were going from 3,207 square feet to 1,933 square feet. So basically, instead of us losing $898 in rent and them going to Frankfurt, we're actually only losing $16,000. But we're really not losing it because they're not using as much space as they were before. And I think it'll all make sense to you more, Larry, once you hear about our office move presentation.
Is that the third floor over here?
Mm-hmm.
All of it?
No, they only had that floor is about 6,000 something square feet, and they were in about 3,200 square feet of it. Yeah.
Well, they didn't have no parking.
No, I mean they had in the lease before they had 10 parking spots reserved for them. Obviously down there they don't need that many, so they're actually going down to 4 spaces.
Well, they won't have over 2 or 3 customers at a time. Really.
No, and it's mainly because they have I don't know if it's
Online.
quarterly board meetings, but you know they have an actual board that actually comes in and meets periodically throughout the year. You know, this is a state affiliated office. It has nothing to do with the county. We were just fortunate to be able to keep them in our county and not lose out on the total revenue. Well, is there any more discussion? If not, call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bakken?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next, I would like to, at this time, to recognize some folks that have been with us in the county for quite some time. At this time, I'd like to invite Stacy up. And I have to say that Stacy's been here with us 25 years. All right, stand right here. So 25 years, and this is her first fiscal court meeting. So,
First and last.
First and last.
A lot of people might say, man, I can't believe that, but that means that she's been very dedicated to her job duties and been working very hard down at the road department.
See who's been running the county for the last 25
That's
years.
exactly
I'd
right.
like to add, she watches everything.
Yes, she does work. This is a certificate of achievement. Stacy Bringer, Madison County Road Department, has been recognized for outstanding achievement and having served faithfully and honorably with the dedication to the citizens of Madison County since 23 years. Oh, 25 total, okay. 23 years. This recognition is hereby awarded this 21st day of December 2017 by the Madison County Fiscal Court. So we appreciate your
Appreciate you.
So now speech.
Oh, no.
next one, I'll just stand here. The next one is Mike Alexander. And Mike couldn't be here with us today, but Mike has served on our Madison County Fire Department for 20 years. So Mike Alexander has been recognized for outstanding achievement and having served faithfully and honorably with dedication to the safety of the citizens of Madison County for 20 years. So again, let's give Mike a round of applause. And I'll give this to the chief, and Chief can pass it along to him.
Well, I can say this about Mike, I've known him for a long time, and he's been a leader in our fire department and trained a lot of young people. I hate to see him leave, especially with a lot of the younger people that we got coming on now. But, you know, I know he'll do good in life because he's a hard worker, but, and very well respected by his peers.
Yep.
But, I'm glad for him.
I wanted to just also, we wrapped that up pretty good, but Stacy, I just want to thank you. I mean, there's been lots of times when I've called and asked you for information, and I know you're busy, but you've been diligent in just providing that for us, and we certainly appreciate that. We're going to miss you.
I'm sure we'll still see you. Yeah. Just not at the road, not the road department,
You
right?
gonna come back and sub some, Stacy? Like a teacher, you gonna come back and sub some? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you all very much. Next on the agenda is the second reading of ordinance 1718. It's land use change on 3575 Colonel Road from UC4 IC Urban Corridor Interstate Commercial to UC4 Urban Corridor General Commercial for a 1.23 acre lot. Whereas the Madison County Planning Commission held a public hearing on Tuesday, November the 21st, 2017, to consider a land use change request application from interstate commercial to general commercial. The applicant's request stated that their justification for the proposed change, being the existing zoning classification given to the property, is inappropriate, and the proposed zoning classification is appropriate and in keeping with the comprehensive plan. Therein, a finding of fact was made by the commission that the property's size and location is not conducive to interstate commercial use, and that said existing zone classification was inappropriate, and that the proposed land use map amendment is in agreement with the comprehensive plan of Madison County and appropriate for this property. So at this time, I need a motion and a second to approve the second reading of ordinance 1718, land use change at 3575 Colonel Road from UC4 IC to UC4 Urban Corridor.
I make that motion.
I'll second that.
No discussion, call the roll, please.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Tudor?
Yes.
Mr. Bodkin?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Next is the 2018 Madison County Sheriff's budget. Y'all, each one have a copy of that budget. You've also, I think, had a sit down with the sheriff to go over his budget. At this time, I need a motion and a second to approve the Madison County 2018 Madison County Sheriff's budget in the amount of $3,592,653.
I move we accept the sheriff's budget for 2018.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any more discussion?
Yes, I've got something I want to say about this.
Sure.
Judge, you know, every year when it comes time to approve the sheriff's budget, you look at it, and we've all gone over it line by line. I've sat down with him every year, went over this line by line, and the sheriff's budget is important. You know, the sheriff, when we looked at it, when we got in office 3 years ago, and he looked at it, sheriff's in trouble down there with vehicles. And, you know, we've been able to get him 8 vehicles over the course of 2 years. His budget this time also includes vehicles, and I want you to know why, not that we're just voting for it, but I want you to know why we're voting for it. I got some information the other day, and I just want to share just a little bit of this. And this was an article on scientific challenges with the opioid epidemic, and it says on average that new synthetic drug is identified in the U.S. every 7 to 10 days. Dr. Susan Bell is the chairman of the West Virginia University Department of Forensics, and she says that they just can't keep up with those new compounds and that people are dying deadly. They need new standards for this. She has said that, you know, that not only has the problem always been that we've been dealing with cartel stuff, now we're getting synthetics from China. complicating it. I mean, it's just making matters even worse. She went on to say in some of her articles that the handling of these substances is unknown as to what the first responders are running into. Not just the sheriff's folks, but our EMS guys, the fire department guys, every one of them are running into the same thing. She said that it's also a danger for the K-9 units, that it's getting to the point where it's risky to the point that and a small dose of this, if they get just a small dose of this, that it's a fatal, on-spot fatal to them. Not just to the animals, but also to our officers. She says that according to the Center for Disease Control, that this synthetic opioid pain reliever, fentanyl, we've all heard fentanyl, is 100 times more potent than morphine. Carfentanil, which is another derivative of that we've all heard of, is 10,000 more times potent than morphine. These guys are dealing with this stuff every single day. And she also said this about it, and I'll just let this go, but she said that with carfentanil, you can't open packages in the field, you could die. She also said that less than a sugar pack's worth of carfentanil could kill 4,000 people. Now, I want to tell you something. We're giving them vehicles. It's not going away. It's not going away. Our problem's not going away. We're going to have to support them. I support the sheriff. I support his budget. I campaigned on it. It's all over again. We got to keep giving them tools. You know, we've got a street crimes unit now, Sheriff. We've also got a HIDTA task force that's dealing with this problem. And we have also got a member of the county on a DEA task force now. So, you know, we're fighting it. The sheriff's fighting it. We're going to support him.
Yeah, I agree. You know, we're facing tougher times. I mean, we're facing more challenges. And not just to mention the vehicles, but when we also came in, there was no bulletproof vests, there was no second firearms. And so, you know, we have a financial obligation of the county, but we also have an obligation of protecting our community and keeping our community safe. So,
well, it's a tough choice, Judge. I mean, we've all had the discussions about it, but it's a tough choice when we sit down and we vote for that budget simply because it means there's a new vehicle that's not going to the road department. There's some new equipment that's not going other places in the county that also have those needs as well. This is important. We have to fight it. Yep. You see it in the paper every single week where we've lost another teenager. We've got to keep battling.
Judge, I'd like to commend the sheriff on all the upgrades he does with his department and the technology that he's using to help fight this drug epidemic and all the other crime that we have in their county. As you know, Sheriff Coyle was honored to be the top sheriff in the state of Kentucky this past year. So sounds like he's on task for what he needs to be doing and he's keeping up to date. And I went over his budget. It's fairly expensive, but like Tom said, we've got a lot to deal with, and I think the sheriff's doing a great job. And I commend him and I support this budget.
Well, I too would say the same thing, John. I sat over there, I guess, 2.5 hours with Mike and went over his budget. I told him, I said, Mike, it's got to stop somewhere, but it's not going to stop today because we've got to continue what we decided to do, and we're doing it. And I know what Mike probably looks at sometimes like, well, you know, you got to help me. Well, we do. We do have to help. But this is kind of off the subject maybe, but I think it's time that we get the county attorney involved and the sheriff's department and revisit the school system and see if we can get just a small increase to help him. And, you know, we've tried that once before. This has probably been 20 years ago. But things have changed 20 years. And I see that we can make a good case to maybe get a small increase, and it hadn't been increased. It hadn't been increased since I've been here. I've been here 37 years, so it hadn't been increased. But I mean, that's the bulk of what he does. I mean, other than serving papers and arrests and the drugs. But I think we can make a good case, get the county attorney involved, and make a good case to revisit them and see if we can get them to give us just a small increase. And I know Mike would be for it. I think anybody in the county would be for it. I mean, they get the bulk of the money anyway, and I'm not knocking the school system at all, but I think it's time, 20 years ago, things was a lot different. Probably didn't need that much, but today, we need that and more. And Mike, he's got good statistics, and, we just need to sit down and put a good case before us and take it to them and let them vote it for it or vote against it.
Larry, while you're on that subject, share with the public what percentage that the school board gets out of their tax bill. About 63%, isn't it, Judge?
Yeah, I think so.
And that's,
Well, Mike has people at the schools, he directs traffic stuff, I mean, that
Absolutely.
involves another personnel. So, I think we can make a good case. I think 20 years ago, we didn't approach it right. I can remember when it happened, but we didn't approach it right, and I think now, with the new county attorney, it'd be a good thing for him. I mean, he'd get his feet wet quick.
Thanks, appreciate it, man.
I
I know you're always looking out for me, that's great.
I am. I try to give him credit where credit's due. If you can get this done, this is a big credit, and Mike will agree with me.
Well, I will say, the opioid problem and the drug problem is a community-wide problem that's only can be battled as a team. One entity can't handle it alone, and so you've got to have buy-in from everybody in the county in order to pursue tackling that kind of an objective. And to echo your all's perspective, our office is oftentimes on the front line with Sheriff Coyle and his department, and he has built one heck of a department. And we're proud to work with him and his people, and there's nobody I'd rather be in battle with than Sheriff Coyle and his people. So, those are all issues that we're tackling and that are important and vital to the safety and health of this community and the people in it. So, to your point, I'm willing to look at any option that advances that goal. I don't care what it is. I'll investigate it with everything I've got, and if it makes sense and it moves the ball forward, absolutely.
Well, it would, even 0.5% would really help the sheriff's department, correct?
Yes, it's 1.5%, as you all know now, so 1.5% can make it 2.
And we pay 3 fiscal court
Yes,
collecting.
well, yes.
I think we pay 3.
Yes.
Yep.
And some of the other entities, for say, 30%.
Yep. Yep. All right. Good
Thank you.
discussion, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney.
If no more discussion, call the roll, please.
Mr. Tudor?
yes.
Mr. Buckin?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes. Next on the agenda is a contract with Pitney Bowes. Glenna, I think you're gonna present, give an explanation.
Disposal.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Jumping ahead.
Yeah, I forgot. I crossed it out. Contracts for advanced disposal. There's no action needed at this time on that. I think Scott
Yeah,
Tussey is
there will be
working
no-
on something with that. Yeah.
Good.
So sorry about that.
Okay, Pitney Bowes, that's who has our postage machine. We've had a contract with them for the last 5 years. It's worked out wonderful. It saves us money. We pay 46 cents per letter, and whereas at the post office, I think it's 48 or 49 cents. So it saves us money. It also has a sealer that keeps a $20 an hour employee from sitting there and sealing 500 envelopes every time we have a court meeting. The new agreement, which works out great with our timing on moving, because at the end of your contract, you have to get a new machine. We chose to keep the same type of machine that we currently have because it works great and that's all we need. We don't need to upgrade. We were paying $671 a quarter for this machine. It'll now go up to $738 and be locked in for the next 5 years at that amount.
7:38.
But they will actually come back and get this old machine and they will set up our new machine in our new location.
What kind of service does that include?
That includes, I believe that includes, like, we don't pay anything for the sealer. When we run out, we just call them. It includes all the maintenance. We have had hardly no problems with that since we've had it.
There's very little maintenance on that.
Yeah,
machine.
very little maintenance.
And
It
y'all
has a
have
way-
had this for 5 years already?
We've had it for 5
So
years.
this is the first 5 years you didn't have it before?
No, we did not have it before.
Okay.
We used stamps before. This has been a tremendous savings and help to us.
A lot of man hours saved there too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the entire county can bring their mail up and we can run it through. So we encourage that on any, more than a piece or two of mail to bring it up and let us run through. Plus we have a weighing station, we can send packages, all that kind of stuff.
We should
Okay.
bring that before I mailed them Christmas cards last week.
No. No Christmas cards allowed.
So I need a motion and a second to allow me to sign a contract with Pitney Bowes on behalf of Madison County Fiscal Court for a 5-year, basically,
Yes.
renewal
Lease.
on our equipment.
So move.
Second.
Would that save the sheriff's department when he bills out the bills?
No, they actually do theirs through bulk billing with the post office. They take them directly down there, and I
Okay.
think it's even cheaper through that.
Just a thought.
That's a card too, you can't do cards on
Yeah,
the
no.
machine.
All right, if no more discussion, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bodkin?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Tudor?
Yes.
Just Taylor?
Yes. Next is presentation about our office move. Thanks, Colleen.
Good morning. Merry
Good
Christmas.
morning. Merry Christmas.
So we're gonna walk through our consolidation proposal. I will just warn everybody, there's a lot of moving parts here, so I suggest we just wait till the end for questions. But obviously, if you have anything that's glaring that you need to ask, feel free to step forward and ask it. Hey Ryan, you're gonna have the next for me. All right. So we have been, as we saw earlier, with the real estate appraisers, we received notification from Governor Bevin's office that they were looking to consolidate and move all of their various offices in different counties to one main location, which means we would have the real estate appraisers board, which is on the 3rd floor of our courthouse annex, majority of the 3rd floor of our courthouse annex, moving out. And so that kind of started the ball rolling on a discussion that we have been having for a long time regarding our frustration and the fact that we as the county government are spread out as extensively as we are. And I know magistrates, you realize this, as you go to talk to anyone, you're going to multiple buildings in multiple places. And so that was the impetus for the move, or the discussion of a move. Currently in our downtown area, downtown Richmond area, we have 6 departments that are spread out. We've got human resources and finance in our finance building. We have the judge's office and facility maintenance here in the courthouse. And we have planning and codes and IT, which also includes GIS, at the Madison Avenue location. And so when we had the appraisers come and we said, if we were able to switch you and move you, and keep you here in Madison County, would that be something everyone's interested in? They had 2 individuals who had literally just bought homes and moved here. And so they went back to their bosses and said, is this a possibility? We started negotiation with them and they said yes. So they are going to reside, Larry, to your question, in 2 of the 3 suites that are down at the Madison Avenue location. They are going to be on the planning and codes side. The IT and GIS side is still vacant. Suite 3, if you look at it 1, 2, 3, or ABC, however you think about it, Suite 3 is going to be vacant and ready for us to lease to an entity if we can find an individual interested in renting, which we have some people who may be interested. For us, if we were to consolidate all of these departments into one, our thoughts were the following would occur. We'd have stronger communication and collaboration as well as team building. Right now, we very rarely interact with each other with the exception of department head meetings. If we do, it's onesie-twosie meetings that sometimes stretch out over the course of weeks or months. Save time and money for staff going to various offices for deliveries and business. To the very point about Pitney Bowes, if you go to mail something, you leave your office and you go to Glenna and mail it, or you go to the post office. Now that you're in the same spot, we would just mail it as a regular activity there in the office. In addition, as we move money around, as you're turning in your deposits, that's being turned into Glenn Finance as well. Reduces need for equipment. If Chris was here today, he would attest to the large amount of duplication we have. You figure we have 3 sets of copiers, we have 3 sets of shredders, we have 3 sets of fax machines, we have 3 sets of, 3 sets of, 3 sets of. Don't even start me on coffee pots. We have a lot of coffee pots. But we have a lot of duplication, and consolidating into one already will be able to not purchase a copier that would have been $14,000. So right off the bat with the move, just in one copier, we've saved $14,000 in consolidating. Provides additional customer parking in high traffic areas. Obviously, right now, we park, a lot of our employees park where citizens would love to be parking, and instead we will park behind the annex building, which would free up parking spaces in our main parking lot area here at the courthouse, as well as on the street parking where some of our other entities park, and into the new lot across the street. So we would move all of the vehicles from staff, park them in the back, and that would free up those spaces for customers. It frees up office space for leased to non-Madison County entities, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means for us, but it does free up some suite space for us to, suite space is in S-U-I-T-E, not S-W-E-E-T, suite space for us to lease out to individuals from other entities. We're approached a lot by profit and nonprofits interested in having a place that is downtown to rent, and so this would be an opportunity for us to do that. And one of the big things is that we retain the real estate appraisers here in Madison County. So they were going to leave, and so we were able to retain them here, which was great. Ryan, will you move? So our concept is that we will actually consolidate those 6 entities, 7 if you count GIS, to the top floor, that's the 3rd set of windows up, and we would reside on this entire 3rd floor. And what we'll talk about in a little bit is that that's going to convert this from a Madison County annex to really our government complex for a lot of our major administrative activity within the county. Next. All right, so bear with me. So who would be moving? So the Judge Executive's office that's currently here in the courthouse will move to the annex. Planning and Codes will move to the annex. IT will move to the annex. GIS will move to the annex. Human Resources will move to the annex. And the Finance Department will move to the annex. In addition, probably in about 2 months, we will do a move of our custodial team into the annex. Right now, they have offices in each, cleaning spaces and off, but our administrative, Donna, would be moving over there as well. That just won't be in this first move. The Kentucky real estate appraisers, who are currently on the 3rd floor of the annex, will go to 321 North Madison Avenue in suites 1 and 2, leaving suite 3 vacant. An adult drug court will be moving from the courthouse annex, and we're in the process of working with AOC on that lease. They will go to the 1st floor of the finance building, where finance is currently at 101 North 1st Street. They really liked that property, not just because of the 1st floor access, but because it had double bathrooms, male and female, for their drug testing, as well as significant training space. So for them, that was a win for them as well. We've just retained them in the same property, and we're negotiating on those rates as well at the moment. Next. So a lot of people, this was the big question for our staff, how in the heck are you going to fit all of us into a space where 2 offices are? And so here's kind of a look. Ryan, if you'll just highlight where the elevator is with the mouse for me. You're walking in, as you can see, where on the left where that triangle kind of space out is. I might just go over there and point. You're going to see where you're walking in at, just for the sake of everybody understanding. You're walking in here. So you're coming in here, either whether you're coming in from the elevator off or you're coming in from the stairwell off. This would be your main entrance for our constituents. This would be our entrance. We'd have a second set of entrance in for the Judge Executive's office. So using that as our bearing, we'll just go around the circle. You're going to come in with a greeting area. We have a wonderful internship program, and we'll use that reception area for our intern team to really be our greeting. What this frees up is right now we have administrative staff that's answering phones and constituents in each of our departments. Now they can focus on work, and we have an intern that will be our greeter at our place. We're going to move in that first group, which is our highest traffic group for constituents, is going to be our planning and codes. That's Patty and Leanne in a cubicle style space, Marty in an office, and then Bert in an office. If you move back, then you can see that Rachel's in the back corner. And then we have a conference room. Now, each of the conference rooms that you're going to see in our space are general conference rooms. And so actually we decided yesterday that we are going to take the lead of our 3. We have 3 conference rooms, and we have 3 individuals here. So we're going to name them this way. So that conference room you're looking at is the McCreary room. And so that'll be the conference room named after one of our Madison County governors. And then the other conference room, the smaller one, is going to be the Johnson, after King Johnson, conference room. And so the large conference room actually will not have a table in it like that. That's going to be set up to be used for training. It'll have small tables that you can use, and we can also, it's large enough that we're going to be able to do 6 to 10 person trainings. Rachel does a lot of orientations, Planning and Codes has a lot of small groups that come in to look at plats that we can lay out on the tables. That'll be a multi-purpose room that can be reserved by anyone in the entire complex, whether you're on whether it's the sheriff or the first, whoever is in need and wants to rent that space out to use it for a conference space, that conference space would be theirs.
Yeah, and rent with no cost.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Reserve. That should be the word I used. Reserve. Sorry. Thank you, Ray. You're going to go through this. There's a hallway right there where you see those 8 boxes. That's actually a multi-purpose storage area for our copies, our shredder, our printer, our supplies. That's another thing. We'll be able to consolidate supplies significantly that we have at the various offices. You're going to come into that next area where you see that green tower. Those are Wi-Fi indicators. But in that hallway, you're moving into our finance area. So Angel, Glenna, Melanie, and then we have 2 offices that would be open if we needed expansion for staff, but we would be using them as intern stations. The back are 2 file cabinets, and I will tell you, if Angel was here, she would tell you how much we have purged. Rachel has been working really hard with our team on the retention schedule rules, and so we are only moving what we need. And so we are having quite a large purge party to get rid of a lot of paper. But we will be moving all these 2 file rooms will be everybody's files, meaning codes files, IT files. The only exception to that will be some of Rachel's due to security and the need to have that locked, and finance. So now what you're seeing is you're entering into this hallway outside. That's a common hallway. Across that's going to be a break room as well as the large conference room, which is the Madison room. And the Madison conference room, again, will host 15 comfortably at a conference table, or 16, I should say. And so we would have anyone on any of the floors. So Judd has people coming, his conference room is used, he needs another one. Sheriff has his investigators need an extra space to interview people. We'd be happy to have anyone reserve that. And then a break room, which obviously having one break room creates a lot more camaraderie, but anyone on any of the floors would be able to use that break room as well. If you were to go then into the other entrance on the back side, eventually we'll have all this connect, but on the back side, you're going to enter into the executive area. So you'll have Francette, an intern, me, and Reagan. And then in the back area, we will have one large IT room. And we asked them 20 times, are you sure all 5 of you want to be in the same big room staring at each other? They really like each other a lot. They said, yes, that's how we want to do it. We don't want walls. We want to be able to just shout at each other and say, hey, look at this, pull this up. So that's fine with me. And so that's going to be where our IT team is. So that's going to be the layout. We've got a little bit of room for growth. In addition, you're going to notice that there's quite a large area that says MCSO Investigations. That's Sheriff Cole's office, and I know that he and Reagan have had conversations about what we may look at the future, a future scenario where that could be potentially a fiscal court space, and we would have areas for the detectives in another location. That's for a future plan. So right now, that large space is still going to still be the sheriff's, but if there's some way we can creatively figure out how to do that and make that a fiscal courtroom as well as a training space, we would do that. Next slide. Long-term plans. So we actually have some bigger long-term plans that Kenny has been working with us, with the PVA, with Allie upstairs in Circuit, and obviously Sheriff Cole, we've been very excited about. Long-term plans for us is that the county clerk's office and driver's license would switch spaces. We would have the county clerk going on the first floor with the PVA. Obviously, they work a lot in conjunction with each other, the PVA's office and with the county clerk's office. Driver's license would then come over here to the courthouse. That's one less building Allie has staff in. Right now, she's spread, I think, into 5 different buildings, the only county in the state that has
4.
There are 4 buildings that has that many employees in different facilities, so that gives her one less building space that she has to worry about. Court designated workers, we're working with AOC and with their team to figure out where they would be interested in going. The detective team we just talked about, and then obviously the courtroom if that became an opportunity. Right there it says the sheriff's detective team in the basement, but that may not be the end result. We do have space for expansion for the sheriff in the basement if he needs that space. Why would we do all of this? Why does it matter? The first floor, if anyone has ever been here to watch Circuit Court, You will notice that we have people that are down the hallway, down outside, lining up. They are here till 11 o'clock at night with cases. They are actively working with AOC and advocating the need for a second courtroom. And so this first floor, if we vacate this first floor, would become a second circuit courtroom for the court system, and it would be rented by AOC. Next slide. So what does this mean for Madison County constituents? It means the following offices will be in the same building. The sheriff will be in the basement, where it currently is. The PVA on the first floor, the county clerk on the first floor, the county attorney on the second floor, and then Madison County government on the third floor. Next slide. So the biggest thing that we deal with, I know Kenny can attest to this, and those that work with the public, is the fact that when they are dealing with an issue, a lot of times they end up having to bounce from building to building to building. And so, especially in rain, snow, and cold weather, you hear this far more. But also when you're dealing with an older population or individuals that need accommodation, this is not the most ADA-friendly building. And so those are things that would be improved in an office where everyone's in the same space. So here are just a couple of examples of times when individuals bounce back and forth as a constituent that would be solved by the move. When we deal with property taxes, so you start off at the sheriff's office, the deadline's passed, they're delinquent, you gotta say, you now have to go over and see the clerk's office to pay that delinquent tax bill. Homestead exemptions, they come in, they're 67, they realize they can get a discount on their bill, both, I think, car, is that right, Kenny, car and vehicle?
Not just real property.
Just real property. So then they have to be sent over to the PVA's office across the street. Then after they go to the PVA's office, they have to come back over. Now we have done some automated processes, but some people just like to do it old school and like to take care of it and handle it themselves. Codes violations, we go back and forth with regards to that. Vehicle value assessment, vehicle inspections, they go to the sheriff's office and then they come over to get their vehicles tagged. Occupational tax and business license, they start off at codes, they realize they don't have a business license, they've got to come up to the finance department to get their business license. And I will tell you, we're missing people due to that disconnect, paying, because we have something happen in one department that we don't know it's happening in another. That's where some of that's not only just software collaboration, but just the fact of physically being together to kind of catch these little conflict areas. That agency collaboration as well is huge between our various departments. There's lots of ways, not just department-wise, but agency to agency. We've all had discussions about how we could streamline things and being in the same place just naturally makes that a more organic process. We've talked to a bunch of people impacted, people who deal with codes on a regular basis, and a surprising piece of feedback was it's a lot easier if you can park in one place and go to Richmond codes and walk over to the annex building as opposed to getting in your car and driving back down to get to deal with code issues both in Richmond and Madison County. So that was one piece of feedback from those with codes. And obviously our staff has indicated that we do have less foot traffic because of how much we've gone electronic. We'll continue to see more things going electronic. So the third floor is not as much of an issue as it may have been even 5 years ago. I think that's it, Ron. Hit me next slide just to make sure. Yeah. So with that, does anyone have any questions? I guess a couple of big questions is when. Right now we are slated to move on January 6th. We are boxed. If you've been to any of our departments that are impacted, we're boxed and ready to go. We are going to be using a local mover after going through looking at 3 quotes. So we have a local mover here in Richmond that will be moving us. And our hope is that we will be live and running most likely on the 9th. We're going to attempt to be on the 8th, which is the Monday after the move, but I'm not crazy. So I think that we will probably be ready to go. One way or the other, we will have computers up and phones working on the 8th. No phone numbers will change. All the phone numbers will stay the same. And so with regards to people calling and trying to transact business, we'll still be able to do that live when we go up on that Monday.
And the judge's office, we will be moving at a later date because we've got to work out the details of drug court.
We have a 45-day window with AOC that we just got word of yesterday. That's a 45-day max timeline. So yes, we will be a second round move. I'm going to go ahead and most likely temporarily move to that space. So I will be in that spot, and Reagan and Francis will hold down the fort here.
Colleen, I've got some concerns about the parking behind the annex.
Sure.
with Doug's people over there and the sheriff's department employees parking over there, is there gonna be enough spaces over there?
Reagan, do you wanna kinda talk about sheriff vehicles and,
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of the sheriff's vehicles, really, there is not a whole lot. And the sheriff and I talked about that yesterday, some,
They're
you
in
know.
on the road, basically.
Yeah, they're out on the road. I mean, you know, they do. A lot of them park up close to the building, you know, because they're just coming in, running out. A lot of Doug's staff, you know, they park on the side lot of the jail. And I've actually looked a lot. I mean, I'm not concerned about parking whatsoever. I mean, if you go down there throughout the day, I mean, there's always plenty of parking spaces. And one of the things that we see is that if our staff uses that annex parking down there more as staff parking, then it allows these upper parking lots that are a little bit more convenient and easier to get to the jail or to the annex building or even to the courthouse. So I don't have a concern whatsoever with that. Since we've redone, and Kenny can attest to this, I mean, he looks out that window where his office is located. Since we've actually striped the new parking lot over here, a lot of our staff has actually already even moved over there. It's freed up tons of spaces out here. So I don't have that concern.
Which is gonna be even more, this parking lot behind the courthouse is gonna be even more important to keep clear for customers only. We moved all the reserve spots out, but there's still 5, 6 vehicles in there that should not be. That we haven't signed anything yet, but if you're gonna be a good steward to the constituents, employee does not need to be parking right at the front door back here.
So this parking lot would be used for customers for
It
the
should be right now.
courthouse and the annex
Yeah,
building
it should be
also.
right now, but we've got 5 or 6 that continue to park in this spot. And we'll, address that with them later. But that's gonna be more important because that is close parking to the annex. Especially when we move in, Reagan asked us to do some numbers. An average is 500 people a day come to our office. So that shocked me. I knew we were busy some days, but I didn't realize it was an average of 500. So that's a lot of coming and going.
With that kind of foot traffic, is that elevator over there gonna be able to
We're
handle
on the first floor.
up to the other floors?
no, there'll be no problem with elevators.
Yeah, that's where we're gonna be on the first floor.
I mean, that building, the elevator was designed for that square footage. I mean,
When you compare it to this elevator here,
yeah.
we get all the party in that elevator.
Yeah. You know, obviously, the long term, you know, Kenny and the PVA would both be on the first floor, so, you know, his 500 wouldn't be going upstairs, you know.
And the sheriff's basement access, you park in the back and you walk in first floor from the basement side for the sheriff, so.
The parking lot across from the jail, off the First Street there, is it designated for any
There's really no designation. I mean, a lot of our staff, a lot of the annex staff, park over there, in that parking lot. But, you know, to me, the access of the parking lot at the annex, the back parking lot is not very customer friendly, you know, where it's located to the access walking up the hill. And so, you know, we thought that obviously if we can get more of our staff to park at the annex, then, you know, the lot over here, even though it might be a block over, it's still a lot more of a level walk from even sort of some overflow for customers or constituents in the corner lot that you're talking about, you know. So.
I can't tell you, Judge, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Will the handicapped have access to the third floor?
Yes, it is ADA accessible. It has a first floor entrance. Yes.
Yeah, there's no change in any of that requirement, which that's a
That building was
federal
made
law,
ADA
yeah.
compliance, unlike.
I mean, that's what the
area.
elevator is there for. Everything is ADA compliant.
All doorways are ADA compliant. Yeah.
Good question.
I was gonna tell you, I can't tell you the number of times that I have gotten a complaint that sent me down to see the sheriff, that in turn caused me to go down to planning and zoning, which then sent me over to Kenny's folks over here to get a restriction to go back over to see Billy.
Yep.
I mean, I'm tickled to death about this one-stop shop. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the, man, we are so customer unfriendly with the way our setup is, you know, and everything is commingled. One of the things that really causes a lot of issue here with us and interrupting our workday is being that tour guide in a sense of constituents that come in and that are looking for, hey, I've got this speeding ticket. Well, they're in the totally wrong building. They've got to be a district court. So obviously, with the nature of my title, judge, I'm on the first floor. It's my first. I mean, that's their first stop. And so we end up having to, you know, send people to the right place or go upstairs to circuit court. And so, you know, to me, it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, we're here to serve our community the very best way we can, and sending constituents to multiple buildings all over the county. I mean, I don't see how we're doing that when we have an opportunity now to really be a one-stop shop.
And some other things to think about, that if we were not to move, that we will have to financially upgrade the speed of the IT network that is in the finance building. You don't even comment on that. It's outrageous. The speed is so slow. They'll feel like they're moving lightning speed when they move over, and we will not have to invest in any kind of expansion into that building. In addition, the hub that connects EMA and us is located in that annex. So now the investments that we've made will be taking advantage of that and not having a location that is down at Madison Avenue. It'll actually be backed up and protected in that building, and then have a second backup at the EMA site.
Colleen, will we be able to rent the finance building over there?
Yes, we
Generate
already
some
have the
revenue
first.
from that?
We already have first floor rented. We're working on the contract for that right now, and actually, she emailed me while we were sitting here in court that they're also interested in the basement. So that would be 2 floors right now. We only have them renting 2 offices currently. They would then go from there to renting 2 floors.
I thought the sheriff was gonna be in the basement.
Basement,
No, it's the
building.
finance.
That's finance. His question was about
Yeah,
the finance building.
building.
Larry,
Go ahead, Roger.
Larry and I have been here a few more years than the others, but from the time that I've been here, growth was just unbelievable for the number of departments and the people that work in those departments. Kind of all of a sudden we got overflowed. But and I think at the time we had enough buildings to kind of spread everybody out, and that's what we did. I never did like it, but I mean it's worked, but it's more work about getting from one to the other. I think the greatest thing that this does is puts everybody together to where when you got that question, you can go down face to face within a minute and ask them, you know, what about this or that. It's not like calling them on the phone and they're not there or busy and they call you back in 30 minutes. You can just about get an answer as quick as you ask the question. That's the greatest part. I think it's a big convenience for the patrons. You know, and that's what we're here for. And I guess I heard more complaints when we started spreading out about having to run here and there, just like Tom then said. You know, it's just not good, especially for the elderly people. You know, people's coming to pay their taxes or whatever. You know, they're not happy anyway, and when they have to get the car 2 times to do it, you know, it's just that much worse. But I think it's a good move. I commend the judge and Colleen and all the department heads that's worked with them to make this thing work, because that's what it takes. But I think it's good.
You know, one of the things that we haven't really talked about a lot either, and this has been a concern of mine since I've been here, is the safety factor of our citizens in this building. You know, if you go to if you go to district court or you go to family court, I mean, you go through a metal detector. You can't get in that building without going through that metal detector. You can trape all over this building, and the only metal detector is right before you go into the actual courtroom, but there's a back entrance. So, you know, there's a security factor here too, obviously with a lot of Kenny's customer base coming in, 500 people a day coming in with convicted felons, being in the same building as that. And so, you know, there's a safety factor to this, also allowing a circuit court that 20 years ago had 100 indictments, and they're going to hit over 1,000 this year. I mean, they need to expand as well. And this gives that opportunity. Not to talk about the utility savings, and we really haven't talked a whole lot about the cost savings that we're going to bring into this into detail. But I mean, you look at we're paying utilities at basically 3 different buildings, and well, really 4 if you count the annexes. We're already paying those utilities over there. there too. So, you know, it's a great opportunity for us. I think it makes too much sense not to do. So I appreciate your presentation today, Colleen. Is there any other discussion with this?
Yeah, first of all, let me say this is all new to me. I didn't know anything about it. I think probably everybody in the county knew about it before.
Yeah. Do you want to know why, Larry?
Oh, didn't.
Well, because you're never around. You know,
I'm a phone call away anytime you need me, Joe.
Larry, Tom, did you know about this? Have we talked about this numerous times?
I knew about it.
John,
Yeah,
have you, Roger?
I did.
You know,
I mean, I'm just being honest.
and you can be honest, but I'm being honest too. You know, we have set a protocol, and you've had the same options that everybody else has had to come in and sit down, have a scheduled time. You know, we're very busy. It's nothing that I'm hiding from anybody.
Oh, I didn't say you were.
But we have a job to do, and you know, I'm not going to give others special treatment when everybody else is on the same page.
Well,
You know,
just honest.
I
I'm
have
not-
nothing to hide. This is why that I've got number 7 on the agenda today as an office move presentation, so that everybody is on the same page.
Will this courtroom go over there also?
Eventually, we hope.
Will it be on that one corner you're talking about?
Yeah, right now, we're gonna still hold court in this room, until that we get some other things that worked out, with the AOC, for potential upgrades in this building. I've gotta work with the sheriff on making sure that we accommodate his needs, in space. But this is the option that we have right now to take the very next step that we need to take to be, more productive, more customer service oriented to our constituency.
Well, it's kind of like John or maybe Tom mentioned. My concern is the parking. It's just like Mike right now, when people pull in to get a vehicle inspection, there's not even a place for them half the time. And I'm just afraid that there's gonna be so much parking there that it's not gonna happen. I mean, yeah, I guess it'd be good if it did.
Keep in mind, everyone could still theoretically park in the same spot they're parking right now.
Well, I'm talking about customers.
I understand that, but right now, there's no change in net parking. So all this does is relocate people to make more parking, but right now, my car is parked somewhere on this complex.
And
On
then
the 8th,
al-
it'll be parked
And
somewhere on this
also, we
complex.
have driver's license testing given there also. You know, and they've gotta have 4 or 5
Yeah,
places.
that's no different than where
But
they
I
are
guess they
now.
only do that on Fridays maybe?
I'm not sure when they do it, but really and truly, we're not changing any, there's no change in parking. I mean, driver's license is still gonna be on this quad. The only group that is moving up here that's gonna change will be codes and planning. But their traffic count it continues to go down because we've gone electronic. They don't have, 20 people coming here on
Right.
at a time.
And you're in essence losing the 4 cars that they parked for the appraisers and replacing it with
Well,
5 cars.
we're gaining
Right.
10 spaces.
Because they were holding 10.
We had 10 spaces held for the appraisers group.
And we have 6
And
staff.
so you're actually gaining 10 spaces there. I really just do not see an issue with parking. And I would encourage you guys to, if you got a free 2 hours, stay up here around 10, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and just look at how many empty spaces that there are. I mean, it's an inconvenience, in my opinion, for customers to park on the back 40, I'll say, of the annex. So by moving our employees down there, it's going to free up even more spaces for family court, for people that come in to visit at the jail, people come to the courthouse, people going to the annex.
You're basically not creating spaces, you're giving them a higher value parking spot versus a lower value parking spot. All the parking currently exists is the same. It's a wash on more or less parking. It's just worse or better parking.
And as time goes on and more and more people every day want to do things electronically. I mean, Kenny's a perfect testament. I mean, you have a lot less foot traffic coming into the clerk's office today than you did 5, 10 years ago.
Right, and we'll have a lot less in the future.
And you're gonna continue to get less. There's less people going to the codes office. Now business license in the finance office is online. I mean, you have less people that are coming into the finance office. And so as time goes on, I don't even think that parking is gonna really be an issue, for everyday business duties.
Colleen, do you have a timetable when you think ALC would be needing this extra courtroom?
Well, they're gonna have to go through the General Assembly. It is a budget year, which is what makes this year a good year for them to advocate for that. They are an oddity in the fact that we have so many, I mean, AOC has been here twice, they were here on Monday. They acknowledge the fact that this setup is not effective for our population size. I mean, we're
With the one courtroom upstairs.
with the one courtroom. So, but the financial component, if they were to come in and renovate, that would be an AOC and a state-funded project.
So
It would
we
be
wouldn't be responsible for the renovation?
Correct.
Well, I
We
mean,
may have some ancillary because we're the
there
property
might be,
owners,
but you'd be getting it
but
back
the,
through.
but the
grant.
majority of it would be come through a line item in the budget.
Do you have a total cost of what that may cost?
For a courtroom,
Well, for all of
You mean just to move over there,
it.
Larry?
Yeah.
to move, we moved and actually did not have to change any any current infrastructure.
No
So,
walls or anything like that?
Nothing. We may opt, if we, obviously what the next step is, and you, as you all know, as a fiscal court, your responsibility is to deal with the finances of the county. So if we get to the point where we have any kind of financial impact in dealing with the court, we would bring that for you as a presentation. But we didn't, we had to drop lines and upgrade systems anyway. That was already in the IT budget. And the move, we already had money in the move that we did not spend through savings. There was nothing part of this that had a financial output in this move. We are not changing anything.
For this initial move, we're not doing anything. We wanted to get in the space. We wanted to see how it offload, and before we went into making any changes. I can foresee, especially once we work with the sheriff on getting him relocated, I can see some upgrades over there. But even at that, I think things are going to be very minimal. That space, I guess, benefiting us is actually laid out pretty decent for what our needs are. There will be probably a wall or two to add, but again, that'll be at a later date. Of course, we would never do anything without getting fiscal court approval on those things, those financial obligations that we needed to anyway.
This actually
So,
we all had it within the budget currently and no cost.
I mean,
And
right out of the
even when
gate,
you take out the savings of the copier
Yeah.
pays for whatever would have occurred anyway.
Yeah.
That one copier we had to buy this year regardless,
Yeah.
that we aren't buying. Okay, Merry Christmas.
Any other comments? All right, next, Resolution 1734, Generation RX Drug Prevention Grant. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court assists in providing resources to enhance the health and well-being of the general public, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court will act as the applicant agent to make an application to the Cardinal Health Foundation for assistance to affect substance abuse issues in Madison County and to increase drug prevention and awareness activities funded by the program. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court funding request will be approximately $35,000 for the proposal submitted under the Prescription Drug Misuse Prevention Education for Youth RFP to enhance drug prevention activities for the youth as well as other community education, including Generation RX programs. Now therefore be it resolved that the Madison County Fiscal Court act as a fiscal agent and facilitate administration for the purpose of providing services necessary for the grant proposal and guidelines as outlined. And be it further resolved that in the event a grant is awarded, the Madison County Fiscal Court understands that it will sign assurances to comply with all applicable federal and state laws, rules, and regulations, especially Title VI of the Civil Rights Act and Section 504 of the 1973 Rehabilitation Act. So I need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 1734.
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Judge, this is just a grant that's gonna be a pass-through. If we receive the $35,000, we'll pass on to Cardinal Hill, is that correct?
Well,
For the rehab?
No, the grant is actually coming from this Cardinal Health Foundation.
Okay.
So ultimately, we have been working with different entities, ASAP board, the school board, the city of Richmond, city of Berea, about a drug prevention component to this drug epidemic. you know, y'all heard me say many times that, you know, we're not gonna just beat this with intervention. There's also gotta be prevention along with it. And so, this is an opportunity for us to expand, on our prevention component. As we sit right now, we're, teaching a Too Good for Drugs program in the 6th grades of all the schools, in the county. A lot of our police force, all police forces are actually teaching that class. I know Deputy Stotts with the Sheriff's Office is actually teaching a class, but Berea, Richmond, and the Sheriff's Department and State Police are all involved in teaching it. So this is an opportunity for us to expand that. We really would like to go to the 3rd grade, and we would like to go to the 8th grade. It is actually a 10-week program. They go in once a week for 10 weeks and actually teach a whole hour-long class. I mean, it's not just about drugs, but it's also about making good choices in life and really sort of some life skills. And so this will help us. If you remember, we approved to help purchase some of the equipment, or the materials, not equipment, but the materials for the Too Good for Drugs program back, I guess it was maybe summertime, or late summer, early.
And so this
fall.
grant would just help fund that?
It would. It's just that this came
Expansion,
across.
more or less.
We saw it. Myself, Phyllis Adams, and Cheryl have been working on it, seeing if it's something that we can really utilize to help expand this program and build the program. And so we're going to go after it.
Anytime we can receive extra funding to help fight
And there's
this-
no match with this grant. I know a lot of the grants that we do
this drug
typically
epidemic
is.
It's a great program.
Yeah. Or a lot of our grants are typically 80-20 or 50-50. This grant actually is not. So
Part of the, just in line with that, part of the money that the ASAP got that they distributed out, they bought flyers that were educational flyers for identifying drug users, even in your own families. And at Halloween, Donna let me come up with her. They was passing out some candy. I probably passed out 200 or 300 of those flyers out here in front of the
were
courthouse.
they the door hangers you're talking about?
Yes,
The door hangers. Yeah. And that's a good example of collaboration amongst other counties. You know, this drug epidemic is nationwide. You know, it's not just in Madison County. And actually, that idea came from Northern Kentucky. Northern Kentucky is doing that. And so, you know, going to some of these meetings and these forums, a lot of times when we as magistrates go to these conferences, you know, it's where we pick up ideas from other communities and really try to utilize them. And that initiative came from Northern Kentucky. And so, to me, it doesn't matter who comes up with it. It's that we win this war on drugs. So.
See, that's another example, Judd, of us expanding, going to the 3rd grade, 5th grade. That's more leverage for us to talk to the school board.
Sure. I've just come back from a 2-day conference in Frankfurt on school justice reform, and there's a lot of great information on that. New programs that help communities identify high-risk youth, focus resources on those high-risk youth, and programs that restorative justice programs, some other things that are really making an impact in the school systems. And as you say, are great intervention programs and prevention programs that catch the problem early and help, especially kids that are coming out of environments where they're not receiving the kind of guidance that we all hope kids would receive, that you help substitute some of that training for them. And so that's something we hope to implement here soon, and it's a collaborative effort between the school systems, between the prosecutors' offices, between the law enforcement agencies, SROs and CDWs, and all the different people that are involved with juvenile crime. And all those areas are you know, ripe with new information, ripe with new techniques that need to be applied. And this kind of grant, it plays well into that. And it's just about, you know, having a vision and having a coordinated effort that we can apply, which is what I'm certainly helping us build.
Yep.
Sounds like a good idea. I've talked with Superintendent Thomas about maybe having some prevention classes in the 3rd and 4th grade, and then hit it again in the middle school age group. You know, you have to reinforce those lessons that they learn early, you know. So I think maybe this will help with funding some of that also.
No question.
All right. No more discussion. I need a motion and a second to approve Resolution 1734 on a Generation RX drug prevention grant.
We got the
We already
motion.
got the motion.
Oh, we already do?
Second.
Let's call the roll. No more discussion.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Barger?
Yes.
Mr. Tudor?
Yes.
Mr. Buckley?
Yes.
Just Taylor?
Yes. Next is the reappointment to the Madison County Planning Commission. I would like to recommend to the Fiscal Court to reappoint Robert Farmer to the Madison County Planning Commission.
So moved.
Second.
This actually will go through December 30th of 2021. We have a motion and a second. If no more discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bodkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Stone?
Yes. Chief?
Good morning, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I'm here to present firefighter Robert Harrison, who's here with us today. He's been one of our newer employees, and he's been diligent. He's gone out and since he's been employed with us and received his IFSAC Firefighter 1 and 2 Hazmat Operations certificate, and also received his IFSAC Instructor 1 certificate. So in our classification scale, that allows him, he's presently as a firefighter 2 making $7.50 an hour, and we would want to promote him to a firefighter 4 at $9 an hour, starting with 12/27 of this month.
So moved.
Second.
If no discussion, call the roll, please.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Master Bodkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Robert, good job, buddy. I appreciate
sir.
it, man. Appreciate your due diligence, all right?
Congratulations.
Scott Shepherd. Personnel Road Department, General Labor.
We've got a recommendation to hire Bart Bowman as a CDL trainee driver, general labor. Mr. Bowman has experience in operating heavy equipment while running his own business. He has recently worked for the state of Kentucky as a manufactured housing inspector, and due to state budget cuts, he has lost his position. So he has approached the county. Since he approached the county, he did not have any type of CDL license, but on his own, he has obtained his CDL permit and is working very hard to go ahead and secure the CDL license. We do have a position open for CDL trainer, driver, / general labor. That position starts at $10 an hour. Upon completion of the license, he will move to $13 an hour. Mr. Bowman will be able to start on December the 27th upon your all's approval for the $10 per hour.
And he's here also.
He is here, and
Bart, if you will, stand up, please.
recommendations on him personally, and
I'd be happy to make that appointment or approval, and I want to commend you for going on, because it sounds like to me you're ready to go and you want to learn all you can. And very few people, they usually wait till they're hired, then they go. So I commend you for doing that.
So we have a motion with Larry. We have a
I'll second that.
If no discussion, call the roll.
Master Bodkin?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Tudor?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Welcome aboard, Bart. Appreciate you applying. Scott, you're not going anywhere, are you?
I didn't know if Rachel was gonna
Oh,
present it or not.
okay. Next is Personnel Road Department. This is Administrative 3 position.
We have recently done reviews. Colleen, myself, Mr. Barger sat in on them, and Stacy helped us. This is to fulfill her position. As you all know, she's retiring, leaving the 27th. We have chosen a candidate, Melissa Settle. She's here today. She is willing to accept the challenge to work with all us guys. She can start on January the 8th, and her starting salary per the classification schedule would be $12 per hour.
Who will you get to fill in? Why?
We do have a transition person in place, and she is currently there and has been working with Stacy for the last couple of weeks, and will continue to be with us until she comes on board and actually be there to help train her in the position.
Yeah, it's bad timing because of snow.
Yeah.
But welcome aboard, and you got big
Not yet.
shoes.
You said a motion?
Oh, I'll make that motion.
All right. All right. All right. So,
I know that. I just want to say,
do we want to do discussion, or we want to vote and then talk?
we normally discuss it and then vote,
Okay.
no?
All right.
And that doesn't work here.
Well, I didn't know what your comments were going to be. That comment was more after a vote, the one he made, so,
Let's go ahead and vote then, I'll say so.
okay.
You
All
got a
right.
second yet?
So we've got a second, so let's call the roll.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Berger?
Yes.
Mr. Tudor?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes, all right.
Now
so
welcome
Tom,
aboard.
there you go. Now welcome aboard. Okay.
What I wanted to say is that in the two people that you brought to us today, once again, just goes to what we say in the quality of folks that we're getting here at Madison County. I mean, it's outstanding. I know some of the folks that was interviewed, at least on the laundry list, I don't know them personal, but the candidate list of who we got to get that administrative persons, you're cream of the crop. I know that already. And we're certainly glad to have you, and Bart, you too. It's great.
I can see a turnout. We're getting very good applicants. We're able to hire some really good people.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Next, the judge's report. I do want to make a quick announcement, thanks to Philip, but we do have a little cookies and just sort of celebrate Christmas and the holidays. Also celebrate Stacy and Mike, even though Mike's not here, their retirement. So we'll announce that. We have some juice and coffee. If Mr. Curry back there ain't got it all.
We say,
I do want to congratulate the Madison Southern Eagles football team and their representation to Madison County at the state 5A championship. And I had the opportunity to go to the game. It was they had a tough opponent. Covington Catholic is a very good team, but I was very proud of Southern and the boys and their hard work and due diligence throughout this year. So job well done, and kudos to the Madison Southern football coach and their staff in getting those guys ready for the season. Also want to congratulate the Waco Elementary School's Junior Historical Society for winning the Kentucky Junior Historical Society's History Bowl championship recently. So that's the first year that Waco School has been involved in that, and so anytime that we're represented on a statewide level, I think it's awesome. It shows what kind of quality of leadership that we have in the school systems to get our young people involved in these types of things. The Richmond City Police Feed the Families food drive will continue through December 31st. You may drop off your non-perishable food items at the Richmond Police Department's cruiser at Walmart in Richmond. There will be a seminar on the basics of memory loss, dementia, and Alzheimer's disease on Wednesday, January 10th, 2018, from 1:30 to 3 p.m. at the Madison County Extension Office. If you want more information or register, please call 1-800-272-3900. The Richmond Chamber of Commerce's 2018 kickoff gala will be Monday, January 15th from 5 until 7 p.m. Please contact the Richmond Chamber for more details and information. The Madison County Courthouse and its related offices will be closed Monday, December 25th, and Tuesday, December 26th for the Christmas holiday. We will reopen on the 27th, and then we'll be back off again for the New Year holiday on December the 29th, which is Friday, and also Monday, January 1st. And then we'll resume again on Tuesday, January 2nd. I appreciate everybody allowing me the honor to sit in this position. I want to wish all Madison County, all our employees, my colleagues, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Comments from department heads? Anybody? That's good. Comments from masters? Roger?
I just fill everybody in on the Valley View Ferry a little bit. I think I probably mentioned before, but we've been working on a grant for over a year now, and it's still not a done deal. It's just a long process, but this grant would try to secure some land to put us a boat ramp on the Madison County side. Also a parking area for the patrons of the ramp, as well as parking area for some of our workers. We're just having to park on the edge where we load on and off with the cars, and it's kind of like a tight squeeze sometimes. And also just for people that wants to come down, it won't be a park, but you could use it as a park. There's going to be some extra land there that later on we could make maybe an exercise walking trail or something in. We don't know. We don't know what we'll do with it. Got to get it first though, but we're close. We feel like that from what we've been told through the state and the federal people that we're going to get the grant. It's just dotting all the I's. And, believe it or not, I had hand-drawn a map, and they sent it back and said the drawing was fine, but where I said a barrier wall, it has to say retaining wall instead of a barrier wall, and they wouldn't accept it. So we had to draw another one. It's just, I mean, it's about drove us crazy. There's 3 or 4 of us working on it. Cheryl's been a big help on it. George Dean that we hired to do this for us has done a great job. It's just a long process, so I know every now and then somebody asks me, you know, what happened to the deal with the boat ramp and all that, and I say it's just still in the process. It's just people don't realize government-wise how long it takes to get anything done. It's just unbelievable, but we're getting there. The other thing is we got signs that we hang down when the ferry's closed at certain points. That's worked better in the last year or so. We're working on another grant to get solar-powered signs at those spots where we can just hit a button and it'll go closed or open. That would save, like when the ferry breaks down or has a problem and can't run, we actually have to leave the ferry and come up there and put that sign out. Well, by that time, 10 people could be headed to the ferry that don't know it's closed. You know, so those people are still calling and aggravated because they went down there and couldn't cross. There's just so much we can do with what we got, you know, equipment-wise. So, but we're working on that. But I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Roger. John?
I just want to welcome Bart and Melanie aboard and look forward to working with them in the new year. I'm sure they'll do a good job as they get on board and work with us and kind of learn as they go. It's a learning process. We're all learning every day, a little something different. Welcome some new faces in the crowd this morning. Good to have you all with us. The road department's just finishing up on some of their last projects for the year. I'd like to thank Willie and his crew and Scott and all the road department for a good year and a good job. And I appreciate each and every one of you, each one of the departments. I appreciate you. A couple of magistrates, Tom and I and Roger, I think we rode in Richmond Parade, and Larry and Tom and I rode in the Berea Christmas Parade. It was a good turnout for each one of them, even though Berea had a little snow and had to close one of the streets down there. But the kids were standing on the sides of the street. It's unreal, wasn't it, Larry? How many people came out to see? We rode in the fire truck here in Richmond, and we took a county truck down in Berea. I'm just glad to see everybody out and supporting their county and supporting the Christmas season. I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and Happy 2018. That's all I got.
Thanks, John. Tom?
Just a few things. We continue to have a dumping problem throughout the county. I know when I'm driving through the district, I still see mattresses and couches and things like that. Of course, Scott knows he gets the call from me all the time. I want to thank you, Scott, for diligently loading up, going out and getting them. But, you know, we have a large item pickup. If you just call, you don't have to take them out and toss them. We'll come and get them and help you out with those things. So,
For free.
yeah, it doesn't cost a thing, does it, Scott?
That's right, sir.
Of course, as they were saying about the Christmas parade, Chief, first, thank you for letting us ride the new truck. We appreciate that. The snow, I was just curious about the snow. It was a question I had for Willie, if he's still here. Do you know what what that little snow cost us in salt?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay, so there's a fee to everything.
Tonnage-wise, it's 250 tons.
250 tons. Okay, so I just said that just to simply say this. I got several calls that night after we got home by folks wanting to know when we were going to come out and salt US 25 and Duncannon and 2881, which are all state roads. And, you know, I'm afraid that we're going to see this as things go along, is that folks are going to get up in the morning and they're going to leave their driveway on a county road that's going to be pretty good till they get to a state road, and they're probably going to have some problems there. State's told us in the past that they are going to be selective about when their time goes out. They may adjust that as things go along. And they had some inherent problems the first time. I was out on Monday at the state garage, and I talked to Brandon and them about, you know, some things that happened. You know, they couldn't have predicted the way the ice and stuff was going to happen. They had two guys that were stuck on top of a big hill, couldn't get to trucks. So, I mean, that's just part of it, and we understand that. The state this week also got a couple of calls. They were doing some grading out on Barnes Mill, and got several calls on that because it was disrupting some folks' yards and things like that. And it just seems if you live out on Barnes Mill and a grader comes by and it tears up the side of your front yard, you can get irate pretty quick about that. But you have to understand what their purpose was. They were having a lot of places where water was gathering and freezing on the road, And so they have to go out and grade that and get that down below so the grade of the road so that water will run off over there. So they, in turn this week, went back and done some damage control and cleaned up a lot of that over there, which Brandon told me, if they would have known how bad, and part of it's graders, they got some new grader operators and they run into some other problems. If they'd have known that ahead of time, they would have picked it up as they went. But haven't had any calls after that. As far as I know, they did go back and straighten that up. Last, just simply to echo what everyone else has said, you know, our department heads, Kenny, Mike, road department, all of you. Judge, your folks, Phil, I don't see you so much. You take care of your own self. I don't have a direct one on you. But listen, all of our county people, all you department heads, Rachel, all you guys, you got good people working for you. Every single one of them, we certainly appreciate it. Doug over here, he probably gets the less credit of any of them. Doug, you got good people over there. And I want you to know we appreciate every single one of them. We wish all of them and their families a very Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Tom. Larry?
Well, I have 2 or 3 things I want to mention. One is, Tom highlighted the volume of calls. I can't tell you how many calls I got on Scaffold Cane, 421, 21, Big Hill, and they had over 50 wrecks just on the Big Hill. And like you said, the trucks was at the top, couldn't get to the bottom. And then we had people on Scaffold Cane, and I finally heard at one point, they said all their employees was going home, wouldn't come out till 5 o'clock, which I can understand that. But still, I mean, they got caught with the britches down. That's just simple. So hopefully they'll do better this time. And I know they're doing the best they can, but I mean, they just don't have the manpower and don't have the equipment to do what we do. And I know they can't get it hard no cheaper. But anyway, that being said, I would like to mention to Scott, and I asked him earlier about the possibility that we have pick up recycling in southern Madison County. I've had several people ask me, and I told them I would bring it up. I'm sure it's something that we will have to budget for because it's not in the budget. But I feel like if we're going to do it in one section or 2 sections, we need to do it all of them. And I have a lot of people ask me. The other thing is, and I'm sure a lot of y'all probably heard it, when the budget passed in Washington, it really put a damp on Brea College. Over $1 billion endowment, and they used that money to educate people that could not get an education. So now that is gone, and of course, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. Mr. McConnell said it wasn't his fault, it was someone else's fault. Well, that's not true. And then Andy Barr said, well, he was going to continue to try to help Brea. Well, if he's going to help Brea by doing that vote, I don't need no help from him. Brea College does. And they have done so much for southern Madison County. I mean, it's unreal. Now, I'm not taking up for Brea College, but I am taking up for Brea College because they have helped too many people, employed too many people, and no telling how many people got an education there would have never got one. And they're paying for it. It's not costing you anything. It's endowment funds. They have the biggest endowment in the world. Who would have thought $1 billion? Well, that's what it is. But I would hope that they will revisit that, McConnell and Andy Barr, and try to, you know, maybe put that in later on down the road somewhere to help them because, you know, that was, well, they didn't tax us what it amounted to, but now it is. So what percentage you said it was?
1.4%.
1.4% on $1 billion, a lot of money. I can't go that high. But I wouldn't know how to put it in a calculator.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a lot of money. And I'm like the president at Brea College. I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people disappointed. And if you ever get the chance to tour the campus of Brea, go tour. You're gonna find one no sweeter, no nicer. Even the kids, and a lot of those are foreign kids, but you know they appreciate the opportunity and wouldn't get an education if it wasn't for Brea College. Other than that, I'm just glad to be here, Judge.
Glad you're here, buddy. Judge, you have anything?
Just quickly, I'm sure Sheriff Coyle would echo this. we find lots of times that the holiday season can be a tough time for some folks, stressful time, and people sometimes make decisions that they otherwise wouldn't. And we found lots of times it sounds simple and maybe sounds naive, but just being kind can make a big difference. Somebody who's having a tough time, you don't know what their life has been like to that point. So when they're met by some kindness, sometimes that can change the course of an action and lead them somewhere other than Sheriff Corl's place or my place. And so just remember in this holiday season to be kind if you can.
Thanks, Joe.
Good.
Ken?
Awesome.
Good. Sheriff?
Well, I want to thank the court for the support and all the positive things that you do for our office that we can do our job. And, you know, this is a holiday time. I want everybody to have a good time, but I want them to use caution, you know, out on the roads traveling. And we have enough problems as it is, so just be careful and have a good Christmas. And, you know, the times that the court's talked about today, it's probably no better time in our life than it is right today, where our society is, and we all pull together and try to make our communities better, and that's supporting and working together. And other than that, I just wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Sheriff. Doug?
Yeah, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And like you said, Joe, about the kindness, you know, we had, I think 5 or 6 of the inmates that we let their families come up and bring their children the other day, last Saturday, and with Russell Glover from the Sheriff's Department, and Captain Greg Johnson and the Peanut that let them come up. And you know, I wish we could have done everybody, but it's impossible with almost, you know, 350 people in jail. But we made about 5 of our residents and their families and their children very happy, so it was a good thing. And again, Merry Christmas to everyone also.
Thanks, Doug. Comments from the audience?
Now's your chance. The year's almost over.
Yeah, it is. Last chance for 2017.
I could say a lot of things, but not going to.
Well, how about be kind? Merry Christmas. I need a motion second to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
So moved.
Second.
No discussion. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Burger?
Yes.
Mr. Tudor?
Yes.
Mr. Buckin?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. First meeting in 2018 will be January the 9th. That'll be a Tuesday, January 9th in Berea. And that puts us back on a regular scheduled meetings for the year of 2018. So I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Tudor?
Yes.
Mr. Buckin?
Yes.
Mr. Combs?
Yes.
Mr. Burger?
Yes.